My name is Krell'vax and I have studied 17 sentient species across 3 galactic sectors. I hold 4 doctoral equivalents in Xenobiology, behavioral prediction, and cultural mathematics. My people, the Harmonious Collective, have spent 200 standard years perfecting the art of understanding alien minds. We do not guess. We do not assume. We calculate. We measure. We predict with 99.7% accuracy. Until we met the humans. Let me be clear about something. When I say we can predict behavior, I mean we can tell you what any species will do in any given situation down to the smallest detail. The Vrin, they will always choose the option with maximum resource efficiency. The Queller, honor-bound decisions, every single time. No exceptions. The Silic, pure survival instinct. Beautifully simple. We have algorithms, models, entire computational frameworks dedicated to this. It is not magic. It is science. So when the human vessel, the SS Defiance, oh yes, they named their diplomatic ship Defiance, transmitted their first contact protocols, I was not worried. Excited, certainly. A new species is always fascinating, but worried? No. I had handled first contact situations 12 times before. I knew exactly what to expect. Standard procedure, really. We analyze their communication patterns, cross-reference with known linguistic structures, build a behavioral profile, and within 72 hours we have a complete psychological framework. Then we know how they think, how they will react, what they want, what they fear. It has never failed. The humans uploaded their cultural database as a gesture of goodwill. Extensive. I will give them that. Art, history, literature, scientific achievements, social customs. I fed everything into our prediction matrix. The system processed it all, ran the standard analysis protocols, and generated a preliminary profile. Species classification, pending, threat level, minimal, technological capability, moderate, behavioral pattern, analyzing, predicted diplomatic approach, standard protocol 7. 48 hours later, every single one of our prediction models crashed. Not failed, not produced errors. Crashed, as in completely shut down, refused to process further data, and one of our lead analysts, Tilara, actually started laughing. Laughing. We do not laugh. We do not have the emotional framework for finding computational failure amusing. But apparently after meeting humans, we do now. That should have been my first warning sign. The first diplomatic meeting was scheduled for 0900 hours, station standard time. I prepared extensively. Memorized their cultural protocols, studied their formal greeting structures, rehearsed the appropriate physical gestures. Humans shake hands, a bizarre ritual where they grab each other's appendages and move them up and down, apparently to prove they are not holding weapons. Inefficient, but I could adapt. I entered the conference room in my formal diplomatic attire. The human delegation was already present. 3 individuals, standing casually, far too casually for a first contact scenario. The one in the center, their apparent leader, stepped forward. Krell'vax, right? He said, extending his hand. Marcus Webb, Earth Diplomatic Corps. Thanks for having us. Love what you've done with the place. Very minimalist, very clinical. Really screams we're fun at parties. I shook his hand as protocol demanded. Thank you, Ambassador Webb. We have designed our facilities for maximum efficiency and comfort. I am pleased you find them adequate. Tilara, standing beside me, made a small chittering sound. I ignored her. Oh, absolutely, Marcus Webb said, his facial muscles contorting in a way my database labeled as a smile. Nothing says welcome to the galaxies like beige walls and fluorescent lighting. We chose neutral tones to avoid any cultural color associations that might cause offense. The lighting is optimized for 17 different visual spectrums. I bet it is, he said. I nodded, satisfied that we understood each other. The meeting proceeded. We discussed trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, scientific cooperation, standard first contact agenda. Everything was proceeding smoothly. Then I suggested we formalize our initial agreement with a ceremonial documentation process, requiring both parties to submit genetic samples for archival purposes. It was routine. Every species we had encountered agreed immediately. Marcus Webb leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms and said, "Oh sure, that's a great idea. Nothing says we trust you like handing over our DNA to complete strangers. I'm sure that won't be used for anything weird. Excellent. Enthusiasm. I immediately activated the sample collection protocols. The other two humans made choking sounds. Marcus Webb's face changed colors, shifting from their normal pale tone to a darker red. Talara's sensors spiked. Possible aggression response. No. Wait. Stop. Marcus Webb stood up quickly, waving his hands. I was being sarcastic. That means I meant the opposite of what I said. I froze. You meant the opposite? Yes. Look, it's a human thing. We say stuff we don't mean to make a point. Why would you not simply state your actual position? Because that would be too easy? Talara made the chittering sound again, louder this time. The situation deteriorated further when I attempted to apologize for the misunderstanding. Marcus Webb laughed.
Hey.
Not a small sound, but a loud, prolonged vocalization that lasted several seconds. The other humans joined in. My threat assessment systems activated. Laughter, according to my xenobiology training, was associated with dominance displays, territorial challenges, or pre-combat intimidation in 73% of known species. I reached for the security alert. Whoa, hey! A new human entered the room, a woman with dark hair and an expression, my database unhelpfully labeled as amused exasperation. Stand down, Krell'vax. Nobody's attacking anyone. They're laughing because the situation is funny. Funny? Yes. Humorous. Comedy gold, actually. I'm Dr. Petra Volkova, by the way. My official title is Human Chaos Coordinator. I stared at her. Your title is what? Chaos Coordinator. Basically, I'm here to explain why humans don't make sense. It's a full-time job. She sat down without being invited, pulled out a datapad and grinned. So, let's talk about sarcasm. Buckle up. This is going to be a long conversation. Talara chittered again. I was beginning to suspect it was not a mechanical malfunction. It was the closest thing my species had to hysterical laughter. Dr. Volkova recommended I conduct what she called field research to better understand human behavior. She said observing them in their natural habitat would be enlightening. She used that specific word.
And?
Lightning. I should have recognized it as a warning. I began with basic survival instinct analysis. Every sentient species operates on fundamental biological imperatives: avoid pain, seek pleasure, maintain homeostasis, survive. Simple, universal, except apparently not. Case study 1 began in what humans call a restaurant. I accompanied Marcus Webb and 2 crew members, Jackson Mills, their chief engineer, and Yuki Tanaka, a tactical officer. They insisted I try human food. You're gonna love this, Jackson said, sliding a plate toward me. Ghost pepper wings. Hottest thing on the menu. I scanned the item. My analysis unit immediately flashed warnings. Capsaicin levels, extreme. Toxicity rating, moderate. Recommended action, do not consume. This substance will cause tissue damage, I said. Yeah, that's the point. Jackson grabbed one, bit into it, and his eyes began leaking fluid. His face turned red. He made sounds indicating respiratory distress. You require medical attention, I said, reaching for my communicator. No, I'm good. This is great. He grabbed another one. Yuki laughed and did the same thing. Deliberately. Consumed a toxic substance, experienced obvious pain, and then repeated the behavior. Why? I asked. It was the only word I could manage. Because it hurt so good, Yuki said, tears streaming down her face. I filed the report under contradictory survival behavior case 1. The database flagged it as corrupted data. I overrode the flag 3 times. That evening, Marcus invited me to what he called drinks. I assumed this meant hydration. It did not. He handed me a glass containing ethanol, a known toxin that impairs cognitive function, damages liver tissue, and causes memory loss. This is poison, I stated. Yep, cheers. He drank it voluntarily. I watched as the entire human crew consumed various concentrations of poison, became progressively less coordinated, started speaking louder, and appeared to enjoy every moment of it. One of them, a maintenance technician named Lisa Park, stood on a table and sang something called karaoke with no regard for pitch accuracy or social dignity. His trade, his Dijk Bex and Deaner Stode. T-dude. You are all voluntarily intoxicating yourselves, I said to Petra, who had joined us. Yep, it's called having fun. You should try it. Why would I damage my neural pathways for entertainment? She shrugged. Why wouldn't you? I had no response to that. Case study 2 occurred when Talara discovered human recreational activities. She was reviewing their cultural database when she found a category labeled extreme sports. Curious, she opened the files. 2 minutes later, I found her in the medical bay trembling. They throw themselves out of aircraft, she whispered, on purpose, for fun. I reviewed the footage. Humans jumping from perfectly functional flying vessels. Humans leaping off bridges with elastic cords attached to their legs. Humans skiing down mountains at lethal speeds. Humans climbing vertical rock faces with minimal safety equipment. One particularly disturbing clip showed a human in a fabric suit gliding between canyon walls, missing the rocks by mere inches. This must be punishment, Talara said. Criminal sentencing. There is no other explanation. It is not, Petra said, appearing behind us. That's base jumping. Super popular. Great adrenaline rush. Adrenaline rush? Yeah, you know, that feeling when you're about to die but then you don't. Humans love that. Talara required sedation. Case study 3 nearly broke me entirely. I visited the human residential quarters and discovered that multiple crew members cohabitated with predatory animals, actual predators, with teeth and claws. This is Sergeant Fluffington, Lisa Park said, holding a creature that my scanner identified as a Terran feline, apex predator, capable of inflicting significant tissue damage. He's my baby. The creature made a vibrating sound. Lisa smiled and rubbed its head. Why do you keep a predator in your living space? Because he's a good boy. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. She addressed the predator in a high-pitched voice typically reserved for offspring. Jackson Mills had a similar creature but larger, canine species, descended from pack hunters. It licked my manipulator appendage, and Jackson laughed. Duke loves everyone. He's a sweetheart. It has 64 teeth. And he uses exactly 0 of them for violence. He's a lover, not a fighter. I filed my reports. Every single entry was flagged as corrupted data. I contacted Central Processing to complain. The data cannot be corrupted, I insisted. I am observing these behaviors directly. Then the humans are corrupted, the technician replied. That might actually be accurate, I admitted. Petra found the entire situation hilarious. Welcome to humanity, Krell'vax. We live on the edge. Sometimes we trip and fall off the edge, but hey, at least it's never boring. Talara chittered again. It was becoming constant now. By week 2, I had convinced myself that perhaps human survival instincts were simply inverted. That would be scientifically unusual, but at least it would be consistent. I could work with consistent. Then I observed their decision-making processes and consistency went out the airlock. I was invited to observe a strategic planning session. The humans were choosing a route through an asteroid field, a task that required precise calculations. They had sophisticated navigation AI, probability matrices, threat assessment algorithms, everything needed to make an optimal choice. Marcus Webb stared at the 3 proposed routes for approximately 8 seconds. Then he pointed at the middle one. This one, let's go with this one. The AI immediately displayed its recommendation. Route 3, 32% higher safety margin, 14% faster, statistically superior in every measurable way. Yeah, but I don't like the feel of Route 3, Marcus said. I blinked, all 4 of my eyes, twice. The feel, I repeated. Yeah, bad vibes. Route 2 just feels right. Commander Webb, the data clearly indicates. I trust my gut, Krell'vax. Your digestive system is not a computational device. And yet here we are. They took Route 2. It was fine. Not optimal. Not terrible. Just fine. And Marcus seemed completely satisfied with this objectively suboptimal outcome because it felt right. I tried to explain this to Talara. She just stared at me and made the chittering sound for 45 continuous seconds. The situation escalated when I accompanied Jackson Mills on a routine maintenance inspection. One of the plasma conduits was malfunctioning, flow rate down by 18%. Temperature fluctuations. Standard problem. Jackson pulled out his tools. I expected precision instruments, diagnostic scanners, calibrated repair equipment. He pulled out a wrench. Just a wrench, a primitive manual tool. The problem requires recalibration of the magnetic containment field, I said, consulting my datapad. According to the manual, you need to access the control interface and adjust parameters 7 through 12. Nah, Jackson said. He walked up to the conduit, raised the wrench and hit the side panel. The conduit hummed. Flow rate returned to normal. Temperature stabilized. I stood there, silent. My vocal synthesizer could not formulate a response. There we go, Jackson said, satisfied. Works every time. That is not possible. Sure it is. You just gotta know where to hit it. You applied blunt force trauma to a sophisticated energy distribution system that violates 47 established principles of engineering. 48, if you count thermodynamics, he grinned. But it works. Working does not make it scientifically valid. Doesn't make it not work either. I had to sit down. We were in a corridor. There were no chairs. I sat on the floor. Jackson patted my shoulder. You okay there, buddy? I am experiencing cognitive dissonance. Yeah, humans'll do that to you. The absolute breaking point, the moment where my understanding of logic and reason completely collapsed, came during a tactical simulation. Oh, Yuki Tanaka was running combat drills, and I asked to observe their strategic planning methodology. Sure, she said. We're simulating a hostile encounter, 3 enemy vessels, unknown capabilities. We've got 2 frigates and a supply ship. Watch and learn. She gathered her team. They spent 90 minutes developing an intricate battle plan, flanking maneuvers, coordinated fire patterns, fallback positions, supply line management. It was beautiful, complex, mathematically sound. Then the simulation started. Within 30 seconds, Yuki threw out the entire plan. Chang, forget the left flank, swing around behind them. Lisa, take the supply ship in close. Yes, I know. That's insane. Do it anyway. Mills, overload the port weapons. I don't care what the manual says. They won, decisively. Afterward, I approached her. Commander Tanaka, I do not understand. You spent 90 minutes creating a plan, then ignored it completely. Oh yeah, that's standard procedure. How is that standard? Well, you see, Krell'vax, we make plans so we have something to deviate from. The plan isn't the point. The plan is just the starting line. Real tactics happen when everything goes wrong and you have to improvise. But then why make the plan at all? Because you can't improvise if you don't know what you're improvising away from. You gotta know the rules before you can break them. My central processing unit attempted to parse this logic. It failed. It tried again. Failed. Again. On the 3rd attempt, I received an error message I had never seen before. Logic loop detected. Cannot resolve. Recommend system reboot. I actually considered it. Let me get this straight, I said slowly. You create detailed plans, knowing you will not follow them, because not following them requires knowing what you are not following. Exactly. See, you're getting it. I am not getting it. I am the opposite of getting it. I am losing it. Yuki laughed and clapped me on the shoulder. Welcome to humanity. We confuse ourselves too, don't worry. Talara was no longer chittering. She had progressed to what I can only describe as a constant high-pitched whine. Our medical officer recommended extended leave. I was beginning to think I should join her. Every functional society requires hierarchy, clear chains of command, defined social structures, respect for authority. These are not suggestions. These are fundamental requirements for civilization. Humans have all of these things. They simply choose to ignore them whenever they find it amusing. I witnessed this firsthand during a ceremony honoring Admiral Patricia Grayson, the highest-ranking human military officer in the sector. Very formal. Dress uniforms, speeches, protocols, everything proceeding properly. Then a junior technician, I later learned his name was Danny Ortiz, rank insignificant, stood up during the reception and said, "Hey Admiral, remember that time you got locked in the cargo bay in your underwear?" The room went silent. I prepared to witness a court-martial. Admiral Grayson burst out laughing. "Ortiz, you little pest, I told you never to mention that." "Yeah, but it's hilarious." It really was. Someone get this man a drink, on me. She bought him drinks. Multiple drinks. They spent 20 minutes laughing about the time a superior officer was trapped in her undergarments. This was not punishment. This was bonding. Do you not have insubordination laws? I asked Petra. Oh, we do. But there's a difference between insubordination and banter. Danny wasn't being disrespectful. He was being funny. Context matters. How do you determine the difference? Vibes, mostly. I made a noise that I cannot adequately describe. Talara said it sounded like despair. She was probably correct. The social structure confusion continued in their recreational spaces. I observed humans in what they call a coffee shop. A junior botanist named Kevin was complaining to a complete stranger about the station's temperature controls. Right? It's either freezing or boiling. No in between, the stranger agreed. And don't get me started on the coffee machines. Oh man, the coffee machines are terrible. They continued this conversation for 11 minutes. Then they parted ways. Never exchanged names. Never met again, as far as I know. What was the purpose of that interaction? I asked Petra. Small talk. Social bonding. But they exchanged no useful information. They did not coordinate activities. They did not establish any ongoing relationship. Yeah, but they both feel slightly better now. That's the point. Feeling better is not a logical transaction outcome. Sure it is. Happy humans work better. Small talk makes humans happy. Therefore, small talk serves a function. I wanted to argue. I could not. The logic was frustratingly sound, even if the mechanism was absurd. The final straw came when I observed two humans, Marcus and Jackson, arguing intensely about something called sports ball teams. The argument lasted 30 minutes. Voices were raised. Accusations were made. Statistical evidence was presented, and immediately dismissed. Then they went to lunch together, still arguing, but also laughing. Are they enemies? I asked Talara. No, they are friends. But they are fighting. No, they are disagreeing. There is a difference. I do not see one. Neither do I anymore, Talara admitted. I think my perception of reality has been permanently altered. Later that day I watched two other humans, Lisa and Yuki, who had worked together flawlessly for months, suddenly embrace in the corridor and declare themselves best friends forever. Were they not already friends? I asked. They were colleagues, Petra explained. Now they're friends. It's different. How? One involves feelings. The other involves professional cooperation. Both involve cooperation. But one has feelings. That is not a meaningful distinction. Talara made her observation quietly, but I heard it. You believe the humans are conducting psychological warfare. This is intentional. They are breaking our minds on purpose. Petra, who had been standing nearby, overheard. She started laughing. Not small laughter, full body laughter. Her eyes began leaking fluid. She collapsed into a chair. The laughter continued for 2 full minutes. Are you malfunctioning? I asked. No, she gasped between laughs. Oh, that's the funniest thing I've heard all week. You think we're doing this on purpose? Oh, Krell'vax. We're just existing. This is normal for us. Talara's whining increased in pitch. I understood exactly how she felt. The harmonious collective convened an emergency session. All 17 xenobiologists, assigned to human contact, plus oversight committees, plus behavioral specialists, plus our top computational analysts, who were very upset about the crashed prediction models. I presented my findings. 3 weeks of documentation, hundreds of observations, thousands of data points. Conclusion, I said, my voice steady despite everything. Humans are statistically impossible. They should not function as a society. They should not have achieved space travel. They should not be alive. And yet they thrive. The head counselor Murthas reviewed my data. This cannot be accurate. I assure you it is. They survive because of chaos, not despite it. Correct. Their unpredictability is not a flaw. It is a feature. They adapt because they do not commit to any single approach. They succeed because they are willing to fail. They thrive in situations that would destroy us because they expect things to go wrong and plan. Well, they do not plan, but they prepare to not follow their plans. Silence filled the chamber. Recommendations? Murthas asked. Quarantine, someone suggested. Impossible, I replied.
We've already established friendly relations with 6 species.
The Queller actually like them. The humans taught them something called pokers, and now the Queller have a gambling problem. Further study. I do not recommend it. Talara has requested indefinite medical leave. I have observed changes in my own behavioral patterns. Yesterday I made a joke. I did not even realize I was doing it until Petra laughed. So they are contagious? Yes. Every species that has spent significant time with humans reports slight increases in unpredictable behavior. The Suslik have started doing something called wingsuit flying. The Vrin, the efficiency-obsessed Vrin, have developed a taste for spicy food. It spreads. Mertes looked tired. What do we do? Accept it, I said. We have no other choice. I filed my final report 3 days later. Species assessment, humanity. Classification, impossible to classify. Threat level, negligible, unless you value your sanity. Behavioral prediction, do not attempt. Save yourself the trouble. Recommendation, accept that humans will do whatever humans want whenever they want for reasons that make sense only to them, and sometimes not even then. Stop trying to understand them. You will fail. We all failed. Just smile, nod, and try not to think about it too hard. Final notes. Humans are chaos incarnate. They are walking contradictions, living paradoxes. They should not work, but they do. Perhaps that is the point. Perhaps the universe needed at least one species that refuses to follow any rules, including their own. I submitted the report and went to the observation deck. Petra found me there, staring out at the stars. You okay? She asked. I have spent 3 weeks trying to understand your species. I have failed completely. Yeah, that sounds about right. I caught myself making a joke yesterday. To Talara, she actually laughed. We do not laugh. You do now. Petra smiled. Welcome to the chaos, Krell'vax. I considered this, the infection, the contagion, the complete breakdown of my logical, orderly worldview. And I realized something surprising. I did not mind. As you humans would say, I said slowly, testing the words, well, that happened. Petra burst out laughing. Talara chittered from across the deck. And for the first time in my entire life, I understood why.